Well, hello and welcome to Kuma's Kitchen, and tonight we've got something a little different. This was a crazy idea I came up with a couple weeks ago actually. I saw a hamburger-shaped cake and I thought, but it's a sweet cake. It just looks like a hamburger. But I thought, could we have a hamburger cake? Now, not make it sweet, but make it savory. And I was thinking how to do that, and I thought, the hamburger's a bit heavy, and the cake's a bit fluffy. What about, and then it hit me, cornbread. Of course, why not? So I call this, so there's cheese in there too. There's hamburger in the bottom, there's a layer of cheddar cheese, and then there's cornbread on top. And I call this Cheeseburger Cornbread. Yeah, just gotta break through there, get yourself a spoonful of hamburger, cheese, and cornbread. Still a little hot, but delicious. All right, let's go in the kitchen. Whip this up right now. For our cheeseburger cornbread, we've got two sets of ingredients here. So this is for the cornbread over here. Across the front, I've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of salt. 1 tablespoon of sugar, and that's my unrefined cane sugar. 2 tablespoons of flour, 1/4 cup of butter melted, 2 eggs, 1.5 cups of cornmeal. That's kind of a coarse grind cornmeal, I like called a polenta. And then across the back here, 1/2 cup of milk. Right now for the cheeseburger part of it, what I've got over here is 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 onion finely chopped, 8 ounces or 230 grams of cheddar cheese, and I've opted for the yellow this time to give it that cheeseburgery look, but any meltable cheese is good. And then across here, I've got 1 1/4 pounds or 560 grams of ground meat. And this is, again, my favorite, which is like a 60% pork, 40% beef mixture. All right, first thing I'm going to do is cook the onions. I was about to say bananas for some reason. I don't know. Anyways, bring the fry pan up to medium heat. We'll get that olive oil in there, get that heated up. All right, that's looking pretty decent. So I'm gonna get the onions in here. I want to cook the onions for about 5 to 8 minutes, just soften them up before I add in the ground meat and the seasonings. All right, so cook that, medium heat, 5 to 8 minutes, stirring occasionally, and I'll see you back here shortly. All right, now with the onions softened up a little bit, we get that meat in there. So put all the meat in, and at the same time, I want to mix the salt and pepper into this. Just kind of sprinkle that around a bit, and then we're gonna mix it. So get that going. Get the onions mixed in with it. What I'm going to do now is cook this, stirring occasionally, for about 8 to 10 minutes. Got a little bit of a heavier amount in here in the pan, so you might find that it just takes just a little bit longer. When you put a lot like this in, it can take a bit longer to cook. So 8, 10, maybe 12 minutes, depending on the size of your pan and how much load you're putting on it. I'll see you back here in a little while. All right, while that's cooking away here, just gonna stir it every once in a while. It's already starting to look pretty good. So what I want to do now is, let's mix up the cornbread. So in here, I'll crack the eggs. All right, so 2 beautiful eggs in there. Whisk those up. And then I'm going to whisk in the milk. Now butter is hot, so I'm putting it in last. Now I've got enough liquid in here to cool it down. We get that butter. I guess it comes from milk. Get that butter and whisk it into the milk. All right, so that's the liquid's done. Put that off to one side. Just put it down here for right now. All right, the dry. Well, I'll take my flour, sugar, baking powder, salt, cornbread, or cornmeal. It's not bread yet, is it? And then, just want to get all those dry ingredients mixed together. There you go, get that flour into there, get the baking powder throughout. All right, that's looking pretty good. Quick break to stir the meat. Oh, that's browning up a little bit now, that's good. Break up any clumps that we get. I'm getting hungry. All right, and then let's get rid of these guys. Bring the liquids back here. One or into the other. Usually I'd do the dry ingredients, do the liquid into the dry ingredients, but this is the bigger bowl, so I'm going to go this way. And then just bring it together. All right, so there we go. That's just our perfect consistency for cornmeal. I don't know if you've ever seen, a couple of years ago, we did one with tamale. Like, what did I call it? Skillet something or other. Skillet cornbread tamale pie or whatever. Yeah, not really a tamale, but yeah, it was with beans and things in it. Very good. Actually, I'll link to that at the end of this video, because it's also one worth checking out. All right, so we got our cornmeal ready. A couple more minutes cooking the meat. I'll be right back. All right, that's looking pretty good. So I'll turn the heat off. What I'll do now, put that just as far to one side as I can. Bring back this little bowl, which just had flour and stuff in. So first the egg. I'll beat the egg first, and then we're going to add the meat. Oh, nice mess, Kevin. Shell. We don't want that in there. Yeah. These eggs, I mean, look at this. These are the free-range eggs. Those shells, they are thick. They're like armored eggs. They're, whoops, and he drops a piece of shell back in again. They're fantastic eggs. I love the color of the yolks and all. Tastiest eggs. So full of nutrition and all. Because the chickens are getting lots of good nutrition. All right, now, this is a little bit tricky because I don't want to cook the eggs, so I want to get this in and then mix it real quickly. In goes the meat. All right, so a little bit left here. We'll get that afterwards because I want to get this mixing before the eggs start to cook. Oh yeah. That egg just adds a nice binder, hold our meat together a bit, and just I like it. I just I like eggs in here. It's a bit more like a meatloaf than a hamburger. Sometimes I will add in some panko breadcrumbs, but then I need a little bit more liquid, like some milk or something too. Or chicken stock is good with that. But just like this is nice. It's easy and simple, and it tastes great. All right, so we dropped a little bit on the counter here. Let's get that in. And we got a bit more onion and things in here, so I'll make sure don't waste any of that. All right, okay. Now, that's all ready to go. what I've got over here is a 9x9 pan. I forgot what that is in metric. 25.4 times 9. Yeah, I know, I work in metric all the time, but not for baking things, so. All right, so we're gonna get the meat in there. Oh yeah, by the way, I've buttered that pan, so just take a piece of butter and you just run it around and rub it, just like as though you're waxing your skis or something. And that just gives it a little separation. I would usually, you know, when I'm baking, usually I use paper, cooking paper, but here I'm not going to use it because with the meat and all, I think it comes out pretty easy. So, all right. So what I do now is just, as you see, I'm flattening the meat out, tamping it throughout here. All right. And then when I got it pretty flat, then the cheese. So spread the cheese across the top. That's the cheese of the cheeseburger. And that's probably going to start melting before we even get into the oven because there's a lot of heat in that meat right now. So get it spread out pretty evenly. That's looking pretty decent. All right, tap that down a bit. And now what I want to do, the cornbread. So, just give that one more turn. Look at that, see? That's getting ready. Let's put that on. Get all that goodness out of there. I love cornbread. This cornmeal, what I like to do with it is make like a polenta for breakfast sometimes, and then I'll mix in an egg, some cheese, sometimes some garlic. A fantastic breakfast. Bacon, good in it too. Anything like that. You can add all kinds of stuff into your polenta. All right, so we're getting that spread out. Now, this is going to go into the oven at 420 degrees Fahrenheit or 220 Celsius for about 20 to 25 minutes. And then it's time for dinner. All right, so I just came out of the oven and look at it. It's just got a nice browning happening there. Kind of, we call this in Japanese, we call this kitsune iro, which means fox color. It is basically the color of a fox. That's what you want to hit. And when you see this cracking, that's good. That means the cornbread is done. It starts to crack apart. All right, so what we can do now, we're not going to get it out there right now because it's going to be too hot to pull out of there. But let's, we can just take and cut this just like we would brownies or something. Cut into some squares, and then you can just serve them up like that for dinner. Oh, it's smelling great. No, you wouldn't believe that I used to build houses where you see how uneven those cuts are. Hey, houses weren't burning hot. No, Osaka was. All right, just kind of go around the edges like this. You just want to kind of release it from the pan. That's it. That is cheeseburger cornbread. Go for it. So if you like this recipe, stick around and check out the channel because there's about 4 or 5 years worth of them here. Every week a new one comes out. Lots of original Kevin Riley Kuma's Kitchen recipes. Check them out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell because sometimes you don't get notifications if you haven't hit that. And you don't want to miss these because they come out every week. Something new, and you never know what recipe is going to come. It's pretty eclectic here, actually. Now go. Make this Ah, delicious. And make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.